The minutes of the previous meeting, which I think was July 5th, the last meeting, were emailed to you. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt those emails?
Motion to adopt.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adopt the minutes as the previous meeting as emailed. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Then we have, need to make the notice of publication, proof of publication, part of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to do that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made to make the proof of publication matter of record. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have two petitions before us this evening. The first one is the City of Decatur in partnership with Biggs PCLP requesting site plan review for proposed parking lot First and Madison Street, Decatur. Reference to City Code 150.330. And is there anyone here to present that? Do you know who was planning to? Back then.
It was supposed to be Steve Hankinson.
Can we see if we get a hold of him?
Would it be permissible for us to move on to the second applicant?
Why don't we do that?
And give him some time?
We can come back to this.
Come back to it,
later.
yeah. Okay, next on the agenda, North Adams Community Schools requesting site plan review to begin excavation and site work, proposed elementary school, Stadium Drive, Decatur, Indiana, 46733, reference to City Code 150.330. So if the applicant would like to present the request.
All right. Good afternoon. My name is Chris Holyfield. I'm the civil engineer with the Various Group on this project, and I'm here on behalf of the North Adams Community School Corporation. A couple representatives are here as well to answer any questions that you may have, as well as performance services. What we're seeking today is approval of this north part of the site plan for essentially an early foundation permit and grading permit and to install some utilities. What you can see on the board is the overall master plan of the project, but we're going to be doing this in phases. And here in a second, I'll zoom into the scope or the area in which we want to focus on for tonight. But this kind of gives you an idea of the overall magnitude and the gist of the whole project, and it's going to be broken up into phases. And for tonight's purpose, we're seeking Phase 1 approval, which is the early foundations for approval on the elementary wing addition, as well as some of the site work grading and utilities. So if you look, get set up, you look up in this area, you can see this proposed addition right here. This is going to be the new elementary wing. We've already received state approval on the foundation. We are seeking that approval tonight so we can get an early start to get these foundations in the ground and start getting them built. So come winter and next spring, they will be able to move forward with the rest of the building. We're also seeking the site and grading for the rest of this north side. What you can see right here is a new bus drop-off and pickup that we are providing for the high school, middle school, and elementary school. We're also providing a new playground back here that's going to be in this cove back and still between all these buildings as part of this addition. Excuse me. There's a dry detention pond, so this pond that's shown right here is going to be dry. It's going to be empty the whole time during a large rain event. It will fill up though, but it's going to help alleviate some of the drainage issues that are existing out there by providing additional storage. And with all the new impervious area that's coming with the proposed addition here, as well as the pavement for the drop-off, it'll help detain that new area. This is what I'm going to call the Phase 1 portion of the project. The plans actually are already out to bid. They are looking to start construction at the end of this month. Again, just in this phase, if not the end of this month, early October, and hopefully get done prior to the winter. There's some other items on why this is on the fast track. We can get into that if you would like, but they're seeking to get this done and moved quickly because of some other major projects in the area, as well as some limitations they're experiencing in terms of trade skills and the availability of labor in the current market. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, again, my name is Chris Holyfield. I'd be happy to answer any.
Yeah, I have one question for you. You had indicated that this was going to be a preliminary site plan review. Typically, the Plan Commission will have a preliminary review and a final site plan review. How many site plan reviews and at what point do you anticipate being back before Plan Commission?
So our next time that we're going to be going to bid is in November, mid-November. So I anticipate we'll be back in Plan Commission more as a final site plan. It'll probably be either November or early December. And that's going to be for the remainder of the property, for the improvements being made out here, this little addition here, and the kitchen addition here as well.
Do I only see hardly any access to that other than off of the bus parking? There's no other road to it?
To the bus drop-off area?
Well, to the building.
I think he means the new proposed addition for the elementary. Is that right, Jack?
Yeah.
It's going to be connected to the existing building. So there's going to be access back here for when students get dropped off. And
That's the only access as far as a drive.
from a pedestrian from the drive, yes. The remaining access will remain within this, where it is today, out here as well as out here, for drop-off or parent drop-off.
Seems like that would be awful congested back there with that one drive going through the bus there if something
It's
happens.
just going to be buses. There are no vehicles, and parent drop-off is not going to be allowed back there.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something happening to the building, fire or whatever. It just seems like that's kind of a limited way to get to it.
I mean, we have presented some solutions. This doesn't show the latest update, but we have moved this bus parking to the east to allow access to this. The wood shop, existing wood shop, is here. This kind of continues the existing access today, but today we're kind of mimicking the access they have today. The improvements though we are making, the school is not completely sprinklered, and in the final condition, the entire school will be sprinklered.
Well, I'm just looking what the worst thing could happen at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that you had the whole thing full of buses and kids coming and going, and all of a sudden you've got some kind of a tragedy out there with the building. Or at 8 o'clock in the morning.
During those two instances, yes. I mean, we do need to prepare for the most extreme. I agree. We have sought some other opportunities. We're looking to provide the access that it's just there's difficultiness with the grades. I don't know if you know, but the middle school is about 7 to 8 feet higher than the high school right now. So it's sloped. This part of the school is about 8 feet higher than the high school. They built it up so it kind of sits on a mountain back there. And if we were to try to bring access around it, the grades would make it difficult. It would require potentially some walls, as well as there's a major pipeline running along Pickwa Road. So we aren't allowed to make any connections. This was told to us early on in the project that we couldn't make any new connections to Pickwa because of an existing pipeline that runs along it.
Well, in that line of thought, could I ask our two people out here, the chief of police and the fire department, what their thoughts would be on that?
My name is Greg Cook, and I'm the chief of police, and that was my only concern, the fact that we could have some type of access road from Pickaway Road. In an emergency, of course, we've always got to think of the worst case scenario, just like you are. And Jack, I haven't even talked to you at all, so I don't, but my thoughts were, yes, the pipeline does run through there, and I understand that, and I may be wrong, whether you can construct over the pipeline as long as you meet their requirements. I don't know if that's a factor or not. The other one was a thought that to come off of the pre-kindergarten drop-off circle there, if you couldn't go off of Pickaway Road. And I wouldn't even suggest that it be an open road. That it could be gated, say with a combination lock or something along those lines too, and it doesn't have to be really a finished road as far as I'm concerned, except for whatever you'd want aesthetically wise. I don't know whether I'm not up to date on this, but they said there's grass pavers or something along those lines that you can still drive, except that they're covered. All I'm really concerned about is the access to that. I don't like the idea that the only way in there is from the west. The fact that the roadway in front of the school has been moved back to accommodate, the entire structure of the school, I really like the plan. But the only serious thing that I have is from Pickaway Road. That's the only one that I have. Whether it's EMS, whether it's fire, whether it's police.
I guess,
In this day and age with terrorism and...
Can I understand though what, today there's no access there, so I'd like to understand, so we can better understand how do you get back there in the case of today, so we can help properly.
Just the way you see it.
You go underneath the overhang right now,
Yeah, right.
There, I looked into that, and in fire code, there's a certain height restriction that is allowed, and does that meet the height restriction per code? Okay. I didn't.
I share a similar concern, and the concern would be you've got a row of buses early morning and mid-afternoon, and if something would happen to one of the buses as it was moving and it became engulfed in fire, it would potentially block in all the other buses. There would be no way for the other buses to evacuate the area. So that would be my worst case scenario. And I like the idea of the temporary access is the wrong word, but a road that could be used in the event of an emergency, and have it gated in such a way that a bus or a fire truck could go right through it. So those types of things. So it would be an additional cost, and I understand that there are requirements for going across the pipeline to make sure that you don't damage the pipeline. But I think the safety that would be added is something that strongly needs to be considered.
We can continue to look into it. That's definitely an option. We have, from our opinion, we have improved the existing circulation and width. I drove back there right now. The width of that existing road is about 15 feet. We have widened that, and we've allowed a big turnaround back here to allow the circulation in and out. But I do understand the concern.
Well, and your comment about what's happening back there, right now it's a delivery access road, and there's not 23 buses and 600 kids back there twice a day. So that becomes what I would consider to be the worst case scenario, if the bus in the middle had some sort of an event.
Any further questions, comments from anyone?
And comment, follow up with Greg. Early on, we were not, we didn't know that the entire building was going to be sprinkled. And so with that, some access issues do go away in the code that because the building is going to be entirely sprinkled, the rules do change a little bit. So, my concern now is going to be not necessarily whether that there's a pass-through exit or not, and that is more of a concern for Greg, maybe. And certainly congestion back there. It's kind of difficult without knowing what's going to be marked off as fire lanes. And I think we talked that there might be 4 or 5 spaces
Yes.
where they'll move the buses to the east, 3 or 4 spaces, create a opening width for us.
Essentially,
Yeah,
these
fire
two
lanes.
spaces right here, we have, in the recent planning, is striped out for no bus parking whatsoever to allow the access back into here and back to the trades and kind of close to where it is today.
Because our biggest concern is going to be the remote sprinkler fire connection in location to the hard surface, and then the next available hydrant. So there's going to be private hydrants, so we really need to see where those locations of the hydrants are going to be moved around.
Mm-hmm.
And we would like to see it at 50 feet, because there is no code, it's the authority having jurisdiction, which would be me. So really the location of whether that's all going to be one system fed through one fire connection, or whether the middle school, the elementary school, and the high school are all going to be separate risers. And that is totally
And
to the architect about
we're
flows and those types of things.
We're still in that design. We're still the MEP, the fire sprinkler design. All that is still in the process. Right now, we're seeking more of the site, and not so much the main building. But I do know from a hydrant perspective and a fire flow perspective, I know a fire pressure line comes in right here existing. There's also an existing hydrant out here that we've relocated closer to this drive. But once we determine where those fire department connections are, whether it's remote or on the buildings,
Prefer than remote.
okay, we will make sure that they are within 50 feet of the hydrant. But that's still in design. We're, like I said, this is kind of like a design build where we're seeking.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we talked a 90-foot cul-de-sac and 32 foot of width.
Don and I kind of tried to scale it out a little bit earlier. The main entrance coming in appeared to be about 32 feet. And then where the buses were came out about 68 feet. And then where the cul-de-sac was, diameter was roughly a little over 90 feet. Is that
Okay.
correct?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can definitely
So
find out.
if that were, we could probably live with, as long as those 2 basketball goals aren't there, the goal hanging out at 10 feet, those probably ought to go away. Just that's about roof height on the fire truck, so those probably wouldn't be a good place for those 2 basketball goals if that was just a clear 90-foot cul-de-sac at 60, give or take, width and 32-foot roadway, as long as the fire department connections, whether there's one for the entire complex or 3 individuals, that those are within 50 feet of a hard surface space. We probably could live with that, but without the sprinkler design, it's a little difficult. And I know you're the civil, but I guess I don't see that whole complex being one riser and one connection. I think it's going to take more than that to provide the needed flow for it.
So that cul-de-sac has enough room for a bus just to drive right around the circle?
Yep. So we do
One bus at a time?
We run an auto turn system. So this essentially this bus right here, they back out about 5 feet, and then it allows them to come and make the loop and back, and the rest of the buses kind of continue that process. And it's a kind of like a train system, so the first bus goes and the next one.
I have a question for that. Let's say a fire does break out and the fire department pulls up in the lanes that you have dedicated, okay? It's about right in the middle. So the buses to the east could do the 5-foot back out and come around. What about the buses to the west? Are they gonna have enough room to back completely out and get around the fire trucks while other buses are coming behind them? Because if not, they're gonna have to sit there until all the other buses come out and around.
And are there going to be hoses on the pavement that prevent that from happening?
That totally depends on the location of the hydrant and which hydrant we hit. More than likely for a bus fire, we're not going to hit a hydrant early on, but as long as that's a dedicated fire lane that's enforced and the hydrant is inside the roadway, then no, there shouldn't be a supply line laid across that hard surface space back there. In theory, it should.
Back to what I was saying, which kind of leads with Greg you had brought up the other day. What if one of the buses breaks down in the middle?
I understand, and just honestly, there's a lot of what ifs. I mean, and it's difficult to plan for every single scenario. This is used all over. This type of bus parking system is used in multiple schools. So this is not the first time you see this kind of bus system layout. They've done the original layout. They've done many schools, and this is what works efficiently from a bus routing standpoint. I understand when you take into consideration a bus fire, a bus breaking down, what are we going to do there? We can, I want to say on the record that you can back it out and move it. I would have to run an auto turn for the buses to here to see if you can, but that.
Do you have examples of other schools that have this that you can provide me with?
Yep.
And contact information so I can make phone calls
Yep.
and ask them how it's working for them?
Yep.
Okay.
Greg?
Again, I apologize. I'm not objecting to try to shove it down your throat, but it's like, yeah, we can let ourselves, what if ourselves to death. I get that. But you can eliminate so much of that if you have an access road at the other end.
So all these concerns, if we were able to provide access around here, all these concerns would go away.
For me,
They would change. There are more options available.
because that way if there is a blockage back there at any given point, they can go out the other end versus having to go back out to the west. Or you could work both directions if you wanted to.
Is there any area north? I mean, are you just tight where you're at? I mean, can you expand a little bit north, or put your retention area farther north and make the lot and everything maybe larger? I'm just throwing something out. I don't know how tight you are with your retention area and that.
We were trying to limit the impact to the existing trees out there. We're taking out a bunch of those trees and what we are expanding today. We can definitely look at some options, but I would ultimately would like to get, there's many scenarios we can design to, but I don't know if we can design to every scenario and satisfy every scenario that has come up. So I would like, I would say some sort of direction or some sort of request made to meet these parameters, given, whether it be in the statements or if there's some local code that we can refer to that has this information that we can use, that would be helpful.
don't think there's a local code. I think it's just more concern
Okay.
of what could possibly happen. I mean, it could potentially be a life safety issue. And, you know,
We are, and I agree, and, from a safety standpoint, we feel like we are improving the daily safety of the school system with the drop-off area in the back, how they are reconfiguring the parent drop-off areas out front. We're improving that system, the circulation of the site. So there is a daily safety factor that we took into account when laying all this out from a day-to-day use. So,
I would have to agree with that statement totally, because if we were to have a bus fire in the current busing location the way it is, it would be chaotic, because you have got parental drop-off, you've got kids walking from one bus to the other and walking to and fro, basically. And so this, ideally, on a day-to-day basis, is way safer than what we currently have, because there are kids everywhere in that parking lot from 7:50 to 8, or 7:50 to 8 o'clock, and there's parking and all kinds of issues there. So from a day-to-day standpoint, this definitely makes this more palatable, because it is completely, that's not to say that you're not going to have that parent that's going to drive around there and go, oh, this is not supposed to be where I'm at, but
Well, there is a parent drop-off.
but that's a far better scenario than what we're dealing with currently. And, we're dealing with, currently, and Brent and I have discussed this a couple times, of how 8 handicap spots got intermingled in the fire lane out front.
Her out there,
We're not
her
certain
back
sure
there.
how that
to the junior
came
high
about,
and
but,
to the elementary.
this certainly is going to better that, we hope.
Even the way they eliminated that front driveway in front of the school, it keeps the children from having to cross over the traffic in that time.
Okay.
It's a good plan.
Yeah, what they've done
Okay.
on the football side is
In
definitely a lot better.
a locked access road, although it may provide for access, it's not convenient in an emergency. And if we have to unlock locks or cut locks or open gates, especially if it's not a, what's the word I want, a hard surface access road. If it's an access road that's used on a daily basis for delivery trucks or whatever, it's accessible. But if it's there and it's locked, and we have to unlock in an emergency, it really is of no value. We'll do what we need to do to mitigate the situation immediately, so the buses that are east or west can't move till we're done.
Okay.
We did it on city streets before, so
Okay, at this point, we'll ask, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak in opposition? Any other person? Anyone who wishes to speak in favor, other than what we've already heard? Final comments from the board.
I just got a quick question for
Yeah.
Wes. So are you all right with this plan as fire safety? Short answer, I know you went around but can you put a fire out with it the way it is?
yeah.
Greg, are you concerned about the safety of the kids? I mean, is it even possible to put a pedestrian walkway, or are you wanting to keep pedestrians away from getting to that cul-de-sac?
No, I would like to have vehicle access.
Well, I'm saying if it's a wide enough walkway that a cop car's running down, because we're talking of two different things running down. A fire truck is one thing, but a cop car can get down.
I don't have any problem with that.
Is that possible to wrap that around the school and then you can come to the U drive here
Yes.
So you don't have to hit Pickway?
We can, yes, we can look at that, and I have already looked at it. The biggest issue I had was the grading, but, I mean, we're engineers, you're supposed to figure it out, so we'll figure it out.
Okay, any further questions, comments? Okay, legal advisor. Why do I need a motion to accept it as
Motion to accept it?
a site plan review? Yep. Okay, I'm ready for a motion from anyone who'd like to make a motion.
Trying to think of the wording.
You can do it as is, with changes.
As is with possible changes as a result from discussion. Accept the plan as is with the possible changes as per discussion, as they look at it and see if it's possible.
If we approve it as is at this point and reserve the right to require the additional access road, does that give you the release to be able to do your concrete work?
We need the release for the utilities and the foundations. We'll do all that up front. That's what we're seeking, but yes.
So the potential access road does not affect any of the grades for those foundations or any of that type of stuff?
Off the top of my head, no. The building's not moving. Those foundations are set. Our utilities are set. And there is a storm line that runs through here. It's deep. I don't think there will be any changes with that, but I do know that there are utilities along that north side.
At this point, I am ready to make a motion to approve the site plan for the plan releases as preliminary as requested.
Okay, is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the preliminary plan as presented. Any further discussion?
Do we need to make a note in there that they pursue an access?
Do what? I'm sorry.
I think that's part of what this is telling them, you understand that part of what they're asking you to do is take a look to see what you can do as far as
Yeah,
putting
we
access in
understand.
there.
We will.
Because when you come back to your
Final.
they're probably going to question that if there's not something in
I
there.
understand.
Okay.
Well, I'm just kind of questioning right now if he comes back and says that there's no way of doing it. But they've already started the foundation.
All right.
Okay, no further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, this doesn't deal with what you had, but I do have one question. Where are the handicap parking spots? I mean, because I look at it, the ones that were for the gym, that were right out in front, are gone. And I've been involved with a handicapped person lately that I try to get him to the door as close as I can, and I just was curious on where those are.
ADA code requires us to put them to the closest entrance possible. I can't say that they all have been identified right now, but some potential areas I see is along here or out here for the access to the high school, and then maybe within this area. We're still working that out. We're dealing with the existing grades out there. We have to meet certain grades to be ADA compliant. I don't know if you recall, but this drive down here is pretty steep, so I'm not sure we're going to get the stalls along that drive. They may end up out here with a sidewalk access there or along here. Those are still to be determined. We're not that far in our design.
Well, my concern is, I look at the gym and where normally I take this person, I drop them off as close to the door as possible, and I park, and that doesn't look like that's going to be available from what I see here. That's what I'm questioning.
No, and I'll interject if I can. Right now, we're about as non-compliant as you can be.
Yeah.
And I raised the question, I said, I can't believe we have handicap parking in the fire lane.
I know,
We
yeah.
are basically telling people to come park where the fire trucks will need to get, and we're telling people who are the least mobile to come park there. We would pull the first parking spots in the parking lot like we do every place
Yeah,
else.
but what I'm saying is, though, current drive, I could drive to that door. And no longer can I drive to that door on the side of the garage, or side of the gym.
Yeah, right there you'll be able to drive.
There's yellow line.
Where the yellow line is.
there.
This
That's a
is,
circle
That's
drive.
what you-
I know, but I'm thinking of the gym over here, Clear Lake, is it right in
That
there?
entrance right there, yeah.
Right in there is where I'm saying, where the handicap parking is now, that door.
It would
In the
probably
fire
be
lane.
in the back, wouldn't it?
I could in the previous, in the current pattern, I could take that person.
The pool door.
Yeah, I could take that person to that door, and now I can't because that's, not gonna be parking. That's what my question is, for the person that needs to be dropped off instead of just
Barb,
taking him. Yeah.
what they were trying to tell us is that is a fire lane.
I know, and I don't disagree with that.
No, but I mean, they don't want handicap parking in a park.
No, I'm not saying parking, I'm just saying you have to drop them off.
I got you.
That's my concern.
I think sometimes the misconception is that the handicap spots have to be closest, but as he said, it's about grade and accessibility, all closest to the ramps and different things. So, I mean, that would be our solution right now, but with everything that's going on, is to move the current handicap spots out into the parking
I don't have any problem with that. I'm just talking about the person that I'm responsible for can't breathe, walk very far and breathe. So I take him to the door as close as we can.
Sure.
This way, I mean, he's not in a wheelchair or anything else. He's still capable of getting there, but there's no drop-off point.
Well, you could also drive right into the parking lot and pull right up to that sidewalk and straight out from the door.
and that will be accessible.
that'll probably be just...
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring an extra question, but that's a concern I have. I never thought of before until you're really responsible for someone, so.
I mean, because the road's going
Okay, I think we're done with that issue, so you can go ahead and start putting your concrete in, I guess, or whatever.
foundation.
Foundation.
High pass.
I don't call it cement, I call it concrete, so.
Cement is just part of the mat.
Okay, moving on, or going back, is there anyone here now to deal with the Biggs PCLP program?
No show. Actually, we texted them and they did not have their plans ready yet.
They don't have the plans ready yet? Okay. So, anything that Sharon or Kurt, we have on that we need to discuss? Old business? The 19th, I see, we've got the next meeting scheduled. You have the information before you.
Planning or BZA? No, it's a request for rezoning that has to be recommended by the Plan Commission to City Council. And City Council would approve or deny the request based on a recommendation of Plan Commission. All right.
So should we have the record just reflect that we're tabling then the Biggs project until the next meeting?
Until they're,
That's what we would like, since it's already been advertised.
Already been advertised, so the hearing was scheduled for now, and since they're not here, if the board just votes to
That requires a motion.
do a motion to table it until the next meeting.
next meeting.
I'll make that motion to table the Biggs Partnership presentation on the parking lot at First and Madison Street until a future meeting.
I'll second it.
Motion is made, is there further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, thank you for that. Any other business that needs to be brought before the group? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion is made to adjourn, second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay.
We are adjourned. Thank you all.